Welcome to the FCA Polk Podcast. Our vision is to see Polk County transformed by Jesus Christ through the influence of coaches and athletes by creating disciples that make disciples. Let's go.
Hey, Joey, I'm so glad to have you on today. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Good to be on here, man.
Joey, tell us a little bit about what you do in the different kind of ministries that you're involved in.
So currently right now for 101 Church, that's where I attend at. You know, you and I both go there. My roles have been and currently are in the youth ministry for probably 3 to 4 years now. I've been a youth leader at 101 Church, heavily involved with that, me and my wife. Then also probably since maybe the first 6 months that we were there, I've gotten really in tune with the worship team as far as when we used to set up pipe and drape to setting up sound and all the equipment stuff to actually getting engaged with that team and serving on a weekly basis, either playing bass or acoustic guitar or electric. But then they kind of twisted my arm into getting into the vocal scene a little bit the last couple of years. So I'm doing a little bit of that too.
That's great. I remember the first time that you sang that we was used to seeing you in the back leading the guitar. And then one day you just started singing after me being there months, and it just blew us out of the water. And you don't understand how great it is for, as a man in worship, to hear a man lead, and I can somewhat hit some of the vocals that you can that, we can't all hit when Crystal's singing.
I know. She sets the bar, don't she? I appreciate that. Thanks.
So with that being said, I know you have a bunch of different hats that you wear at 101 Church with the students and with the worship, and you also wear multiple hats when it comes to your roles in FCA. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do with FCA?
Yeah, sure. As far as what I'm doing now, I mean, I guess we can tell the backstory about how I become involved with FCA. And it was originally the first stint that I had was more, I got invited by the Rockmart High School group for us to come in and do some worship on the Thursdays. That's kind of how I kind of got into it a little bit. But then there was an opportunity where Shane Petty had came up and asked, within our church, is there anyone there that's willing to step up and become a character coach? And then there was a need. I had been praying about it. God had already started working on me about wanting to do that because my son's already been playing tennis for a while, and I've been going to all the practices and all the games and all that stuff. So I had a relationship with a lot of those kids, and it was just the right move, right timing. So I put my yes on the table and went for it, man.
That's great stuff. So you are a character coach for the Rockmart High tennis team. You help lead worship for our big huddles. And then you also have another unique role with FCA as you are the father of one of our student leaders, Leighton Davis at the high school. So you get to see it from not only as a coach, but you get to see it as a father too. Tell us kind of what you see on Thursdays, because it's a little bit different than what you do on Saturdays. And we'll get into what you do on Saturdays, but tell us kind of the feel of a Thursday morning when you're leading worship.
Yeah, absolutely. So usually start off with the kids kind of huddling up and getting a kind of a, like an icebreaker game situated. Sometimes prayer first and sometimes after that. It just depends on how, the kids are coming in and out. And then directly after that, it's, it's welcome and then getting into the worship segment piece of it. Usually do a song or two with that. You kind of set the mood and the environment, get the Holy Spirit moving, get it flowing, and then usually have a pretty awesome speaker to go behind whoever's filling that role as worship. And they'll go through there and give a message and, and get fed, right? Spiritually fed and ready to start their day. And then usually after that, if there's time allows, another worship song for, an invitation, a response, get that going so we can see whether or not there's an opportunity for someone that hasn't had a chance to accept Jesus in their life to give that offering. And then usually after that, if they've got some time, then they'll go into a small group huddle and either break down what they've just heard or kind of pray for one another and get ready for what's in store for the day and for the week.
Yeah, I love that. And too, I know you was asked to be a part of the first huddle at Rockmart this school year, and we was able to see a salvation on week 1. What a
Awesome.
testimony for what you and the other volunteers are doing, and the FCA leadership team. The students are really the ones driving this force, and we're just here to help guide them in that.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience for sure.
So that's a little bit about some of the things that you do on a Thursday morning huddle, but you also lead a huddle as the character coach. Can you tell us a little bit about what the tennis huddle looks like?
Yeah, man. So I've reached out to. We kind of started with a text thread, and we got everybody that's on the team, and I invited them to just come to our house and just get into the core, go through that. But also, if there's opportunities where we want to dig a little deeper, we open up the Bible and we'll go a little further. And I usually have a agenda that's written out well ahead of time because I'm kind of a person of structure by nature. So I kind of give them an opportunity of what they're prepared for and what we're going to do. So we typically will try to come up with a worship and then pray. And then we'll have breakfast or lunch depending on the timing in which we do the meeting. And then we kind of go through a praise and a prayer request, and then we work through those. Make sure we're diligent with that, and making sure everybody has an opportunity to, if there's something that's on their heart, to get that worked through. And then we'll get right back into getting into the Word, and then we'll have a little bit of session where we do Q&A, and we just fellowship and we have a good time, dude. It's been a blast.
Man, that's great. And I really appreciate it. I've been to a couple of those huddles, and whenever I'm not in charge of something, I love to just to show up and go with the flow.
Yeah,
But
man.
whenever I am in charge of something, I appreciate a good agenda and a structure flow. And you spoke my love language whenever I came in there for that first huddle, and you said, "All right, guys, this is what we're doing. This is the order we're going to do it in." And you kept it on track the whole time. And that just really spoke to me. And that's the same way that I am when I'm leading something. But any other time, I like to just walk in a room and wing it. But I love that you take it serious enough that whenever you're put in charge, that you take the time and really dedicate it with the kids to be very impactful.
Yeah, man.
And I know the work that you've been doing, if you want to talk about some of the things that's happened through the huddles and through the life situations that you've been going through and kind of the way it's impacted your son and his teammates.
Yeah, so we don't have the whole team just yet involved in our huddles, and we do that every other Saturday, by the way, if I didn't mention that. But we're intentional, and that's the biggest thing. And I'll speak on this later because I'm sure we're going to have some other conversation. But every morning before I put my feet in the floor, I have a friend of mine that sends me a devotional and a breakdown of what he has done through the day. And after I get done with reading that and praying through that, I send that out every morning, every weekday morning. So they're getting fed first thing in the morning, right? Spiritually and physically, if that's what they're deciding to do, is get up and get some breakfast, right, and read that too. But what's been unique about this whole situation has been they've been pretty consistent about showing up on those every other Saturdays, and there's 4 or 5 of them that are really consistent with it. But those are the core that have been there. There's been 2 of those situations where those kids have come in and we fed them spiritually, and they've been curious and really digging in and asking some questions. But you can tell God's been working on them. 2 of them giving their life to Christ, man. And it's been cool.
Man, that's what it's all about right there. That's the ministry of
Yeah.
101 students, 101 church, and FCA all together. That's what it's about. It's about winning souls for the kingdom, but not only just their salvation, but you're there discipling these kids. So, with that being said, as you are sort of the mentor as the character coach, and they're looking up to you, asking you the questions, and you're helping having them follow you as you follow Jesus. Is there a mentor in your life that's kind of helped you throughout life or with your walk with Jesus?
Yeah, man. There's been several over the years. I grew up in church, and I grew up in a Baptist church from the time I was like 8 to 16. And then I kind of got a little dumb and decided, that I'm not making excuses that life happens, but, I turned my walk changed, right? And I wasn't in that same place where I had been in my youth. So my early adult life, I kind of got out of church at 16, 17 years old, and then got back into church at 20 years later. And there's a cool story behind it too.
If you don't mind, will you share that story? I've heard it, but I'm sure the people out here would love to hear it too.
Really cool story behind that. So as young adults and having, 2 smaller kids that, we weren't, not that we weren't raising them to love God and put God first in in their lives. It's just we weren't consistently going to church and we weren't involved in church. And, we were trying to get it right as young parents. My parents had always gone and they consistently had gone to church. And they kind of had that role where they had taken them to church. My daughter had gotten saved and gotten baptized, and we were able to witness that. But what was really cool was when my son Layton, whenever he went to a kids jam in 2016, I believe it was the summer of 2016 at 101 Church, back when it was Pop and Drape setup, area back then. He went to kids jam, and I think it was midweek of that kids jam week. He had gotten saved, given his life to Christ, and I remember him coming home and telling me about it, and it was just such a cool moment. And then where it worked out, where it was time for him to be baptized, as all parents and families should go to witness that. We showed up at 101 Church, and James, his message, it was the Spirit and God that was working through that whole scenario, and his message was geared to our family at that moment. And I can't remember exactly how the message was, but I just remember feeling that this was like designed for us. And yeah, we were there that Sunday, and we haven't stopped, man. And that's when we plugged in. We all started serving. We got into life groups, and from there, man, it's been an awesome ride. So when you're asking the question about the mentor, so early on in that process where we got into life group, two people specifically that really like changed my spiritual walk was Brett Childers and Blake Wright. That was our first. We were in their first life group, and man, they were on fire, and they were discipling well, leading well, and man, we were all in at that point. So that was my early on with 101 Church, and then in our current roles now, and in our current state, it's been Josh and Nancy Gallops when they had the youth team, and that's when we started, was when they were in the youth team. And man, if you guys hadn't had a chance to get in there with Josh and Nancy, man, they're on another level. So them, and then right now, Paul Wilder. I don't know if most of y'all hadn't had an opportunity to meet that man. That's one person you need in your life when it comes to your spiritual walk and discipling and coaching and developing and all the leadership stuff that he brings to our church. Super intentional guy, and he's the one I was speaking of that sends out that devotional every morning. And when he was on social media, he had done that, and I always gave him the thumbs up. And he came off social media, and I said, "Dude, you gotta keep that rolling." So then he created a text group, and for years now, that's what he's been doing. That's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. And now I pass that on to my crew with the FCA.
That's great stuff. So as you see the importance of having mentors and people help you disciple, that's exactly what you're doing with the tennis team and for your son and for the other kids that come to FCA huddles. And I really appreciate that about you, Joey, that you have a heart for that. So in your roles of ministry, what is something that you want to see accomplished? It can be through the student ministry, through your huddles, with the tennis team. What's kind of the big picture?
Leading people to Christ, man. I think James says it well every Sunday, or at least a lot of Sundays, is making heaven crowded. I mean, that's our goal. Spread the word, spread the gospel. And for those that you love, why wouldn't you want to do that, right? If there's people in your life that you really care about, whether they're your family or they're close friends or people that are close in your life, why wouldn't you want that for them? Make heaven crowded.
Yes. Love well, and you can only bring one thing to heaven with you, and that's people.
That's right.
So before you got started with FCA, what was kind of your biggest fear or hesitation jumping into the character coach role, and what would you say to someone else that might be on the fence?
The youth is on fire. They're hungry. So don't want to miss that opportunity to help make an eternal impact for others. So, when Shane made that request and that invitation for people to step up and put that yes on the table, it was one of those things. I mean, I remember having the guitar on my shoulder, and we were going through that worship, and I was like, yeah, I got to do this.
So what about someone else that might be hesitant with time? Like, how much time does it take to be a character coach?
I think you get in, whatever you put into something is what you get out of it, right? So, I mean, if you want to be intentional, if you want to love well, it takes sacrifice. It takes time away from family just a little bit. It takes rearranging your schedule, but ultimately, like I said before, I mean, you're making, eternal impact. So you don't have anything better to do than to make life changes for others and to help them with their walk, right? So, I mean, it could be as little as 5 to 15 minutes in a practice, or just showing up on the sidelines and cheering them on, or, going all in and setting up a schedule where you're intentional throughout the week. It's what you want to put into it, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I can see, like in my group specifically with the tennis team, those guys, we've only been doing this for a short amount of time. I mean, it was probably April, May, probably early May that we started this up, and 2 people had already given their lives to Christ in a matter of a couple months. And you see it already stirring up in the others too. So yeah, I say go all in for those that are willing to do it.
Man, and I'm really excited to see what the culture is going to look like this year as you guys started up the huddles in the middle of the tennis season last year. Now
Yeah.
you've got some time under the belt with the kids, and you're helping them grow and mature in their walk. And the kids are older now, and they're going to be the leaders on that team. And I'm sure the culture is going to shift. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see
Yeah, me too.
how that's going to play out. So with that being said, Joey, curious if you had to do one lesson with your huddle and you had one verse to go over, what's your favorite Bible verse to share with these young men?
So I've got 2. The first one that comes to mind is the one that my mom always cherished. And I don't think a lot of people know outside of our, core groups, but my mother passed away this summer. And one of the verses that she always carried with her and always, was on her heart was Isaiah 40:31. And it says that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength, and they will soar on wings like eagle. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that was her. That was her verse. And on her funeral program that we had, that we made sure to put that on there. So that's the one that comes to mind first. If it wasn't for that situation, I'd probably say in today's environment is 1 Corinthians 16 verses 13, 14. And that's be on guard, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong, and do everything in love. That's what's on my heart right now.
I love that. In some versions, it says act like men,
Yeah,
right in
act
the
like
middle
men.
of that.
That's right.
I love that. And what a message to share with your tennis team. I mean, that sums it up. You could just have that one verse, 2 verses, and you had a lot to go over with that team.
Yeah, I was going to say, going back to the 2 salvations, right? Ty Carlton, there was the Rockmart High School championship baseball event that was up at the Rome Emperors, right? So he'd already been sending me texts and questions about how does this work, and I feel it, I want it, I don't know how to do it, but can you lead me? And I was like, absolutely, man. You just let me know when you're ready, and we'll do it. If you want to do it now, we can. Because he wasn't on the fence. He wasn't sure that the time was right at the moment when he first started texting me. So I gave him some space, but I would check on him like every day and say, hey, man, just let me know. So we had already planned on meeting up that week, but I think there was a moment at the Romer High School baseball championship game, and 101 youth had gone to support Rockmart High School, and there was a in between the both games there was a little bit of a time for the youth group at our church to huddle up, and Pastor Stephen had given a message, and they were going through some talks, and there was a response for that, and I went all in that day, so that made me super proud and excited for him. Yeah, he had gotten baptized recently, but one other cool story was Brock. So we talking about my mother and, her passing away. And then at the funeral, it was so cool. We had church that day. It was straight up church. I mean, from solid worship sets to people that was speaking and the word given. But yeah, just like James always does whenever he does a funeral service, he gives an opportunity for those that don't know the Lord, an opportunity to respond. And man, he did that. And Brock raised his hand, and I kind of peaked, and I wasn't probably supposed to peak, but yeah, dude, it was amazing. And yeah, so I kind of understood that was the scenario that would happen. But, it came all through when we talked over the next day and started talking through it. But yeah, he's scheduled to be baptized this Sunday at 101 Church, so that's pretty awesome.
Man, That's the testimony. That's from the fruit, not only from you discipling these kids, but from your mom. That is a good testament of your mom, I'm sure, when you said that you was not in church for some years, and she was the one praying for you, and also
Absolutely.
bringing your kids to church, and then even during her service after she passed, the opportunity at her service was bringing people to Christ. I know you're a proud son, and
Yeah.
I'm just thankful to know you and your family. So, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you think people should know about you or your role in FCA or your role at 101 Church?
As far as like what people should know about me is, me and my family, we're genuine and we are heavily involved and we go all in on multiple things when it comes to serving. And you see our kids do the same thing. And it's been awesome to see all that. But yeah, just what an amazing opportunity it is to get up there on Sundays to worship. And, that's my way of really like connecting in a way with God in a different level that I can, like with going into the word and praying. I mean, it takes it to another level for me. I get into the element there and it's true spirit led. You can feel it. And I love it so much to be able to get the opportunity. It's a get to, right? We say that a lot at 101 Church. You go from the got to the get to. And it's amazing to be a part of such a talented team that's with a 101 Church. And we've got 2 talented teams actually. It's been a great journey and I'm super humble for that.
Joey, thank you for coming on. I am super grateful for you. It's because of you and your ministry and people like you is what allows us to get into the school and make a difference with FCA. So thank you
I got one
again.
more
Give it to
thing.
me.
You like to ask questions. I'm going to ask you a question. What's your go-to worship song today?
My go-to worship song, I'm going to say Gratitude
Gratitude?
by Brandon Lake.
There you go. That's a great one. I think you should ask a lot of people that come on here what's their favorite worship song.
I will do and start a poll.
Yeah, start a poll.
Well, thanks, Joey. I appreciate it. I know it's getting late, but I appreciate your time and I love you, man. And I'll talk to you soon.
I love you too, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to the FCA Polk podcast. Before you go, if you want to help us make disciples, please go to fcapolk.org. Check out all the information about the ministry. Grab your cleats and get in the game.